I'm Johnny Ray, and this is 5R Recovery, for addicts from addicts, real, raw, unedited, and unprepared testimonies of people who have gone through the struggles of addiction and have pulled themselves out on the other side. With me today, my guest is Shandell, and she has agreed to share a little bit about her story and what she does nowadays to keep herself clean. So hopefully you hear a message of something that can help you. And without further ado, I'll introduce you to Shandell. So take it away.
Hello.
So Shandell, what was it like for you growing up?
Oh, well, growing up for me, was pretty rough. I just, uh, it was rough. Didn't really have a stable, environment. A lot of abuse, a lot of trauma. Just, yeah. Don't really have a lot of, memory. I think the first memory I have of my childhood is probably when I was about, I want to say about like 10. And I just, yeah, a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma. And the first time I started using drugs, I was about 12 or 13. And I just remember it, I didn't even have that thing that was like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It was just so normal for me. And people say like weed is like the gateway drug, but for me, I think trauma, was the gateway drug for me. And I just I remember using. I had a sense of power, a sense of I felt I felt I felt, yeah, like that sense of power that like nobody was gonna hurt me anymore.
Felt
Uh,
strength in it.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Meth gives you this false sense of power and this yeah. So just when I was 13, yeah, I remember is when I just really started going with the coke and the meth and left home. I think sixth grade was like pretty much the last time I was in school and left and yeah, it was just my life was just chaotic and a lot of violence. Yeah,
Where did the addiction take you?
and let's see. Uh, well, okay, so pretty much from like 13 to about 21, it was like institutions. I spent a majority of that time in like Echo Glen and Nacelle. I had a lot of anger issues. I experienced a lot of trauma, and then when I had had my daughters, I kind of had calmed down. Didn't think I was going to have kids. I calmed down anyways. I was like that parent who kind of partied on the weekends. Didn't really have. I kind of always felt like I had a void inside, and then wanted to be loved. I was missing something, and then and then I met my ex, and that's when things really got bad. So I had met my ex, and I moved in with him, but we kind of I moved into this trap house with him, and that's when my addiction got really really bad. You know, uh, and it was just a really abusive relationship, physically, mentally, anything you can think of. It was awful, like awful. So awful. And I mean, he would. It was horrible. And anyways,
Do you want to talk about a couple of those things? If you don't,
yeah.
I guess
So let's see. So I started isolating myself from family, and it was really bad. And it was really quickly into the relationship too, and like I got down to like 130 pounds, living in a trap house with this man and my kids. And these are times I'm not very proud of. And one night in particular, I had gotten home around, I think it was around like 1 or 2 in the morning, and he was accusing me of like cheating on him or whatever. I had gotten lost, and anyways, so kids were sleeping. They fell asleep in the car, and I was trying to get them in the house. And it's raining outside, and he's angry like always. I get the kids inside the house, and he's angry, mad, punching me in the side of my head. You know, I got the kids in there. He's punching me in the side of my head, and just like hitting me, and then he like uh, throws my purse and everything outside. Like, this man is awful. And I called my sister and asked her to come pick me up. He's throwing my stuff outside, and like, to the point where like he just, the abuse is really bad. So like my sister comes and picks me up, and we get the kids out of the house. But when he was mad, like his whole face, like, and like he lost. He would pull knives on me.
Was he an addict starting there?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He fed my drug habit too, you know, and there was no electricity in that house. It was like your typical trap house, people coming in and out, and anyways, so the abuse was bad. I mean, like knives, really bad abuse, and so I traumatized from that relationship. But so you know, this is going on for about 3 years, and he ends up getting locked up, and at that point I can't stay at that house anymore, and you know, I'm completely out of my mind at this point, and end up living in the car with my kids, you know, and so from the place that we were staying at, I go head up north, you know, and up to this area, and so I'm living in the car with my kids, you know, and
how many kids? Sorry,
three.
Three kids.
Yeah. So I'm living in the car with my kids, and I had like pretty much, you know, like, and really talked to my family at this point, you know, sucked up and really bad into drugs, and it was the dead of winter at this point, you know, and he's in jail. Didn't really have anybody, and so I remember like the, you know, my kids crying because they don't want to sleep in the car, and so life is bad. But you know, when you're an addict, you don't really. I didn't want to reach out for help because I didn't want CBS to get involved, and so anyways, they did. They ended up getting involved, and they ended up taking my kids, and so I go to treatment, and I get kicked out of treatment.
What treatment center did you go to?
They sent me to Spark in Tacoma, awful treatment center, and I get kicked out of that treatment center, and so CPS sends me to Spark. I get kicked out of Spark, and let's see, so oh wait, okay, so I get CPS involved, and then and then CPS wanted, okay, so I got hooked up with Family Drug Court, right? And so and then they send me to this awful treatment center, and then I get kicked out of that treatment center because I have anger issues, and so I'm like, okay, so I get kicked out of this treatment center now, like, you know, thinking that like, now what does this look like, you know? So in my mindset at that point, it's like, I'm at the end of the world. Like, how can I get kicked out of this treatment center? And you know, I messaged my mom. I had been stuck out in Tacoma, right? And so I end up going to the casino out there, you know, of course, the treatment center, casino, whatever. So I end up getting a ride out to Everett, and I get high, of course. And so I end up out in Everett again, and stuck out in the street for about 5 days. And so I asked my mom if she could give me $5 so I could get some food. And she tells me, I can't believe you're so selfish, Shandell, and blah, blah, blah. So at this point, I just want to die, you know? So I start, like, I was going to kill myself at this point, you know? And anyways, I end up, like, I'm going to kill myself at this point. I was going to go jump off the overpass, and I was walking for a pretty long time. And I'm back on 128th, you know, and I'm sitting on this curb, and I'm like, been up for 5 days, right? Just like hallucinating at this point. I remember when I was going, I was at the Walmart, and I remember being in that Walmart and hearing my daughter yelling, like crying for me. And I was at the McDonald's by the little casino, and I remember I had heard the CPS lady and my kids. It was like I explained it as being like being in hell and being tortured. I was hallucinating and hearing my kids. And anyways, so I'm sitting at this curb, and all of a sudden this sheriff rolls up on me, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now. Like, this is the last thing I want. Just let me go kill myself. Leave me alone. And this officer rolls up on me, and I'm like, get away from me. Go away. And it was Bud McCurry and Lauren Rainbow. And they asked me if I was okay. And I was like, I'm fine. And he was like, you don't look okay. I'm going to pull over. And I'm like, no, please don't. Just go away. He pulls over, and they asked me if I was okay. And Lauren sits next to me, and I start crying, and I'm like, I'm not okay. And so they ended up getting me to detox that night and helping me. And I they got me back into treatment and everything. And you would think after all that I would like be, well, okay, so I do good for about 7 months, right? And I go through family drug court. I'm doing really good, and I get my kids back in my care. But I moved into this Oxford house, but I didn't have a sponsor. And when I went to Prosperity, I ended up going to Prosperity, and they got me on like naltrexone, and I go into family drug court, and I'm on. Everybody said I was on a pink cloud, right? I had a blast in Oxford and everything, and family drug court, I was talking to them, and they say, oh, well, you got to get off naltrexone. You can't have any of medical assisted treatment and all this. And so they make me get off naltrexone, and like I go into like this like severe depression because like naltrexone makes you feel really good, and all. So anyways, and so I'm in family drug court for about 7 months, and then like I start getting like super depressed, and they had given me my kids back, and I had my kids in my care, and I had gotten my own place, right? Because family drug court, you get this like rapid return home. So I'd been in there for about 7 months. I got my kids back in my care, and then they make me get off naltrexone. I'm overwhelmed with all this stuff that they make you do. Anyways, I end up relapsing, and I have to go to court, and admit that I relapsed. Well, I couldn't quit using. I used once. I couldn't quit using. And also my youngest daughter, her dad is different. And so when all this was going on, he had moved out of state with her. And so she was here for a visit, Lavender. And so she's visiting, and I go to drug court. They tell me they're kicking me out of drug court that day because I can't quit using. It'd been like it all happened really quick. I get kicked out of family drug court because I can't quit using within a 2 or 3 week period. Then Lavender goes to out of state with her dad. And then the apartment that I had gotten with my girls, that I have this meeting with CPS, and they say, well, we're taking your kids back out of your care. And then so my mom stayed at the apartment with the girls, and so I have to go back homeless again. So I'm sitting there like, okay, like, and the addict mind that I had is like, fuck, I fucked everything up, and I didn't have any support. I had this great support system in family drug court, right? You get all this support while you're in there, but and so I was all supported and everything, and then like at that point when I really needed support, I didn't have anybody, and it was my own freaking fault. I fucked up, and I couldn't quit using. And so like I pretty much given up at that point. And I look back and I think like it was just a really low point, and I didn't think it could get worse than that last time. And I look back on these things, and so I know I could have reached out to Lauren and all of those people, but you start to feel shameful. I was embarrassed that like I'm CPS. Like, what kind of mom am I that I can't quit using? And you go up in front of everyone in this court, and they're all staring at you. You're on display, and it's like, you can't quit using, and it's all this, and then they kick you out. And then, so anyways, I'm back on the streets, and so I end up at this really shitty motel, and months go by, and awful things are happening at this point. Okay, awful things are happening. Oh, so man, some really fucked up things have happened, right? And so I didn't. This really really hard time in my life, and I'm at this hotel or motel, and this lady that runs this place, she calls the room like, well, and she calls me drug addict, tells me I'm having drug addict parties in her hotel and stuff, and she like calls the room and talks crap to me, pretty much, the lady that runs this place. And we're at the room, and so these people that are there, they end up getting into a fight in the room, and she calls the room and she says, I'm calling the police, you need to get out. So I'm trying to get all my stuff out, right? I'm trying to get whatever I can get out of there. I'm trying to get my like stuff that, and I don't want to go, anyways, she calls the room again. They're out, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, she calls the room, and she's asked me if I'd go to church with her, and I was like, oh, okay, sure.
Have you ever been to church at this point? No.
I think I went to like Sunday school when I was a kid.
Right.
But I was like, sure. And so, ended up, Sunday came around. She came to the room and talked to me, and she said, if you go to church with me, you can stay. And I said, okay. And so, Sunday rolled around, and, she was serious, and she took me to church with her, and I went to church with her, and it was really weird. And then the next Sunday came around, and she took me to church with her again, and it was really weird. Didn't want to go. And then she took me to church with her that third Sunday, and at this point, I didn't want to get high anymore, but I just didn't want to be sick, and like I remember just sitting there and just being around people and feeling so alone, and I remember missing my kids, and I actually found a journal that I had written, and written in there, and I had missed my kids so much at this point. But that last Sunday that she had taken me, we were sitting there, and she goes, there's an altar call, and I was like, what does that mean? And I'm like nodding out in the church, and like I'm like sitting like this, and I'm like 130 pounds, right? And I probably got makeup all over my face, and I probably stink, and and this lady's sitting there with me, right? And I'm like picked out and just like, what is going on? This is, I'm trying to stay awake, and and so and at the end, she's gonna take me up for this like altar call. I didn't even know what that means, and I was like, okay. So she takes me up there, and I'm standing up there, and I'm crying, and this pastor's talking to me, and I remember what he said to me. And he goes, the people that you're surrounding yourself are around. He goes, they're bringing you down. He goes, let us be your friends. He goes, let us be your friends. And and then all of a sudden I'm standing there, and these hands start touching me, and they start praying over me, and just like this weight lifted, and I know now the Holy Spirit just filled me up, and
Amen.
yeah, and like this weight lifted off of me, and I walked out of that church a different person that day. And so I reach out to my friend Julia that I had went to outpatient with, and I messaged her, and I said, can you get a hold of him? And I was talking about the sheriffs and stuff. Can you please get a hold of him? And she did. She messaged me, and she kind of, I guess I had messaged her at like 2 a.m. or whatever, and she said she had seen me walking down the street, and she was on the bus, and she said she started praying for me. And so they got me back into treatment, and I got the pleasure of getting to move into one of the Hoff houses, and just since then, I got out of treatment, and had this social worker who just did not have any faith in me. When I got to treatment, I called her and I said, "Hey, I'm in treatment." She goes, "That's all great and everything, Shandell, but we started the termination trial, And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not taking my kids." And I fought and fought, and this my social worker and Marva and Rami and so many women. Angie went to court with me and helped. They just supported me, and I got just Lori and all these women in my life today, and I just I have this amazing relationship with God, and I got this awesome job at the diversion center, and I'm in school now, and to be a licensed social worker. And
Wow.
yeah, I got accepted into the UW, and
Wow.
I've got one more quarter, and I'm going to be working on my bachelor's, and yeah, it's been
So how long are you clean for?
on the 6th. I had 3 years clean.
3 years. You
Yeah.
have your kids back.
I have my kids back.
You're accepted into the UW.
I got accepted. Yeah.
You're working for the diversion center.
I am.
You have a place to live.
I do.
You're absolutely doing amazing work in the
I am.
community. Diversion center alone is awesome and
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing I think for me was I took the suggestion of not getting in a relationship for the first year, and I surrounded myself around women, and I surrendered to my addiction, and I think for me the biggest thing was first that spiritual awakening and finding a relationship with God, and finding a love that was sufficient enough. Because today I love myself, and that's because I opened my heart up to God's love, right? And now I'm not going to hurt myself, right? And my life is completely transformed, and that's because of the love of God, right?
Mhm.
And it's something so beautiful that I wish everybody could have, because it's an unbelievable transformation. And I started using when I was 13. And the longest I've ever been clean, before this 3 years, I got 7 months. And that was the longest time I ever gotten off any substance. They said I had severe mental health, right? But I've been diagnosed with bipolar, right? They've said I've had all these mental health issues and everything, right? Before I got clean this time. Like I've had just trauma after trauma, all these things, so it's been a rough road.
Sounds like it's absolutely an amazing story. So I have one last question. Why did you agree to do this video?
Because, I think the one thing that an addict has is their story, right?
Definitely.
That's the one thing that we have, and that's the one thing that we can freely give, our hope and our strength. And that's the one thing that we can share with other people. I think that's one thing that we should freely give to others, because, I remember when I was in Prosperity, I heard the counselors in there. That one counselor, she shared things that she shared some of my secrets that I probably would have taken to the grave with me. And hearing her share those let me know that it was okay, that I am human, and that I can share that too. Secrets keep us sick. They keep us doing the same things. So you can share your story. You can help other people.
Wow. Your story is amazing. Thank you, Shandell.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in real quick.
Okay.
That was absolutely amazing. So, gosh, I'm behind the camera just losing my mind. First of all, miracles. Miracles were happening left and right when the sheriff pulled up next to you and you're ready to. That's a miracle in its own right.
They are.
All these things that happened by a lady saying, "I'm going to take you to church. If you go to church with me, you stay." Miracle, right? having the Holy Spirit fill you and you being able to recognize that miracle, right? And then like, would you be able to do what you're doing right now had you not gone through this transformation? Had you not gone through this story? No, this story and experience is what brought you to where you are today, and that's exactly why we do these. Is because it gives people hope. I mean, it gives people like, look, we were all down and out. We've all gone through stuff. Your story is amazing, but there's so many people that I feel that can see this and go, man, that's absolutely amazing. So, Shandell, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm Johnny Ray, another episode of 4 Addicts from Addicts. If you want to share your testimony with me, you can email me at 4addictsfromaddicts@gmail.com. You can find 5 Hour Recovery on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. Let me know if you want to share your story with me. I'd love to hear it. Your story could help save lives. So thank you, Shandell, for sharing. And thank you for watching.
No.